This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel this evening. And well, that Ethan Bear little freakout I just had, that's part one of what's going to be a very good part number two here on the channel this evening. Well, we also got some word today from Ken Holland, who happens to have a draft schedule in front of him, saying that there's going to be 10 battles of Alberta this year, and of course 10 matchups against the Vancouver Canucks as well. So, number one on that front, color me surprised. That seems shocking to me. My goodness, how could the NHL possibly decide to line up our two extra games or against opponents just so happen to be against our closest opponents? That is mind-boggling how that works. Couldn't have seen that one coming, but whatever. So let's move on. 10 games against the Canucks, 10 games against the Calgary Flames. How exciting is that? Well, my goodness. If you already haven't seen a preview of what the Edmonton Oilers live streams here on Dolynny TV are going to look like in the live chat, there's probably going to be no live chat, quite honestly. The only way for me to keep my sanity is probably to keep live chat off, because my goodness, it is going to be an absolute bloodbath, online, whether it be YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. There's going to be a lot of people saying a lot of tough things to each other that they would never say to anybody else in real life, but because it's the internet, absolutely, you can say whatever you want because there's no repercussions, nor should there be, because it's all make-believe land, apparently. I don't know how people conduct themselves like that. I've fielded a lot of crazy comments in my lifetime here on YouTube, and I still can't believe people think that half the stuff I've heard are things you should say to anyone, whether it be to their face or over a keyboard. Outstanding to me, right? Outstanding that people are that brave to type that stuff, but it is what it is. So, that said, you know what? The online stuff, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be great. It's going to easily get the mentions up on Twitter when I mention any Canadian team after the Oilers mop the floor with them. But that said, is the Oilers have to mop the floor against the Canucks and Flames 20 times combined, 10 times each. And, whoa boy, that's a bit something. It is a bit something, right? It's going to be fun. So let's dive into it, shall we? I can play this up, or I can just finally get to the meat and potatoes of this video 3 minutes in, and let's get to it. So, you know what? The Flames 10 times. I don't think I have to amp that one up at all, right? Obviously, Matthew Tkachuk, Zach Kassian, both are returning to each of their respective sides this upcoming year. Everybody's engaged already. The Battle of Alberta was back last year, so it's back. And you know what? There is a lot more hope that it's going to happen in the playoffs this year, and there is a lot more hope that it could potentially crown the North Division champion that goes on to play in the Stanley Cup semifinals. That is, at least for Alberta, the hope at the end of this. So that would probably require the Oilers to finish 1, the Flames to finish 2, or some combination where somebody finishes 1 and somebody else finishes 2 or 3, so you can match up in the next round. So, what are we going to talk about? Well, you know what? The Flames. We don't need to talk about that one too much. I could spend years on that one, but I don't need to explain the Battle of Alberta, reigniting last year with Kassian and Tkachuk, and of course Mike Smith and Cam Talbot, to anyone who watched the channel in the past year, or to anyone that even has a clue that hockey happened up until March 11th this year. Alright, if you know that, you know what's going on, don't need to explain it. Alright, let's move on. Why am I excited for 10 games against the Canucks? Oh baby, this is it. You want to see those Pettersson fanboys get melted. It is going to be glorious. And it's not that I hate Elias Pettersson. I really don't. But the fact that these fools that are Vancouver Canucks fans that are just so die-hard Elias Pettersson is the end-all be-all of hockey in Vancouver. Oh man, I cannot wait to see their day just get absolutely ruined when he and the Canucks continue to flounder for 56 games this season as they can't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. It's going to be glorious. And I mean, maybe I'm just spending a few minutes here in this video amping up what's going to be a hot tension between me and Vancouver Canucks fans. But hey, you know what? 10 games against both the Flames and Canucks, count me in, because it's going to be a mess. The Oilers, right? Obviously, I heard it today from a Canucks fan at work. Really, their season hinges on Demko keeping it together from the playoffs. And I'm sorry, the Canucks didn't really keep anything together from the playoffs. Most of them are in Calgary. So this is where it gets really fun. We've got 10 games against our closest rivals, I guess. Honestly, how close is Vancouver? I think it's like driving distance. You're probably an hour's difference between Winnipeg and Vancouver. But either way, Winnipeg, Vancouver, count it however you want. We still got 9 games against Winnipeg. We can talk about that at a later date. But yeah, you know what? These 10 games against Vancouver, these 10 games against Calgary, these games are going to be our season in a nutshell. Hold on. Got to check an Instagram message here. And there we go. All right, so apparently it's down to Slater Cuckoo and Ben Hutton, 2 guys I didn't have on my radar. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a later video tonight. Stay tuned. But, right, is those 20 games against Calgary and Vancouver, that's going to decide who out of the 3 of us is in the top 4. Probably 2 out of the 3 of us are in the top 4 of the Pacific Division playing in the playoffs. Now, these 20 games, as it would be with Montreal, Ottawa, and Toronto, same situation, but these 10 games are going to be critical, absolutely critical to how things play out when it comes down to it, because my goodness, you want to see what's going to be a mess in the NHL. Edmonton, Calgary, that's your mess. Vancouver, Edmonton, it is going to be whose skill upends the other team's skill. And the reason I'm getting excited is because, I'm sorry, Elias Pettersson and JT Miller, that's as budget as you can get on Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, right? Obviously, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, pretty budget as well. But out here in the West, yeah, Elias Pettersson and JT Miller, they're pretty much budget Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. And I really don't think they're going to stack up. The Oilers got better. The Canucks lost everybody to Calgary. Oh, don't forget the guy they lost to Montreal too. And it's looking good. If the Oilers can survive even 6 out of 4 or 6 out of 10 against the Calgary Flames, and then go, I don't know, mop the floor with the Canucks 8 out of 10 times, you look at how drastic those Canadian standings will be. The Oilers will be right there, number 1, no problem. And I can't wait to see it, because let me tell you, the number 1 thing I live to see, because there will be a lot of mad Montreal Canadiens fans too, who are just superb Elias Pettersson fanboys too. Don't forget that Elias Pettersson's got the biggest following out east in Montreal. So when you get the Vancouver fan base upset, don't forget they like to burn down their city, and get the Montreal fan base upset in one go. Oh boy, talk about mentions on Twitter. Talk about engagement on YouTube. Talk about a good time. It's going to be a good time this season, and I see nothing but the worst happening for it. And by the worst, it's going to be the best. And oh man, count me in. Count me in for pure chaos. Let chaos reign. 2020's been a let chaos reign year. Trust me, in the NHL, you have not seen chaos reign until this 2021 season, when the Oilers play the Canucks and Flames 10 times each, and then go on to play the other 4 Canadian teams. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm getting so excited I'm forgetting math. But go on to play the other 4 Canadian teams 9 times. Oof. Man, how many more nasty comments am I going to get by the end of this? I perhaps might want to keep a profile of all of them, screenshots in the comments section, in my folders on my computer, just to have a highlight reel of Canucks fans and Flames fans losing their mind when both of them find themselves at the bottom of the Canadian division standings because the Oilers mop the floor with them 10 times each. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Tyson. This is Dolynny TV. Count me in. That's all I got to say. It's going to be a good time, and it's going to be a short time. But that's right. We're here for a good time, not a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, I am up on out of here.